Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we will talk about standardization of work and simplification of work. We are currently going through Taylor's scientific management. First, let's talk about the standardization aspect. What I have written here, outputs to remain consistent. Let's take the example of the food that is cooked in our house by our mother or maybe grandmother or some other relative. Let's say she gives you lunch, you take it to school. Some days the rice will be very well cooked, but some days the rice will be little raw and dry. Because of that, even if they make the same type of recipe, the output, the taste of that output will keep varying from one day to the other because it depends on lots of variables. If it is our household, it doesn't matter. We just need to eat and move on to the next thing. But when we go into commercial aspect, it has to be consistent. If you go to some star hotels or even some normal range restaurant, when professional chefs make dosa, if they make 100 dosas, all 100 dosas will be in the same dimension and it will be fried to the same extent, the color, almost everything will be consistent because professionals, they make sure that their work, that their output is standardized. So this is the general explanation of standardization. Now let's talk about some specific aspects of it. What Taylor wants standardization to achieve. Taylor believes that standardization should achieve the following four things. The first is to reduce a given line or product to fixed types, sizes and characteristics. The example I have given is Apple's iPhone line. Every year when Apple releases a new version of iPhone, how many variants they release? The normal one, the Pro one and the Pro Max one. So when you buy a normal one, every phone, let's say Apple makes 3 lakh units of iPhone 16. Almost every 3 lakh unit should remain identical. And the Apple company is able to achieve this because almost everything is done by machines, the cutting aspect, measuring aspect. So the accuracy is extreme in those cases. So the first point is to reduce a given line. Also, you have to see from this perspective aspect, not just from dimensions, you can also see the color aspect. Every Apple has say 4 to 5 colors maximum, isn't it? So you don't get infinite number of colors. So what will happen? There are so many colors. If you want, you can customize it to a limitless number of phones, right? But what happens if extreme customization is available? Then Apple will lose control of how many different types of variants that are there. So if you keep it within 3 to 4 possible colors, then it is manageable. So that is another aspect. To reduce a given line, don't extend the line unnecessarily or beyond your control. So that's the first point. Second point is to exchange interchangeability of manufactured parts and products. So example for the second point I can give you is the Type-C cables that we use. So we have one Type-C cable and to how many things do we use it? I use my Type-C cable for all the cell phones that I have. I even charge my Kindle with a Type-C cable. The very camera that I'm recording, the camera's battery is charged by the same Type-C cable. And also this very mic that I'm using, I've connected with my PC. It is connected through a Type-C cable. So the cable is just one, but it is able to do a lot of multiple aspects. So that is the interchangeability aspect. I can use the same cable across many devices and for very different purposes. So that's the second point. The third point is to establish standards of excellence and quality in materials. Now, this is the closest point to what I said at the beginning of this lecture, which is outputs should remain consistent. So it should not give you a jarring effect. I'll give you some example. Color grading in movies, and you can also see the channel thumbnail of this very same channel. First, we'll see color grading. Let's say a movie, unless the movie goes through different timelines or unless the movie is shot in different localities, the color grading of that movie will not change. Every movie will have one tone and the editors will set that filter for that entire movie. Let's say a movie is in present and then it goes to past, maybe to to make you understand that you are in the past, then they will slightly change the color, and then when they get back to the present, the color will shift. But when the movie plot is going on in the present, the editors will not mess with the color. So again, it will create discomfort, isn't it? This very video that you are seeing, I set a particular color, I edited it so that it remains consistent throughout the video. What if, imagine, every 10 seconds I keep changing the filter, or I did not set the filter properly? So again, you will not have a comfortable viewing experience. So that is the first thing. Also, you can see the thumbnails of this channel. You can probably, after this video, can go to the library. You can see I changed the thumbnail design only every chapter. One design per chapter, and how many ever lectures that chapter has, it will have the same thumbnail only. Design will be same. I just change the lecture name from lecture 1, lecture 2, lecture 3. That's it. So you can also know when you scroll through the library, okay, at which chapter that I am right now, and then you will know, okay, the title will vary, so you know which topic you have to select. The last point in standardization is to establish standards of performance of men and machines. So whenever I review the performance of men and machines, I have to uniformize the metric that I am using to review the performance. To give you an example, strike rate of a batsman in T20 cricket. So let's say you are evaluating players for T20 cricket. How do you select them? If you want to select batsmen, then you will see the strike rate aspect, right? Today, strike rate is the most basic metric, the most used benchmark to evaluate players' performance in T20 cricket. So you cannot use, let's say, strike rate for one batsman and then you suddenly go to another batsman and evaluate that batsman based on balls per boundary. So these two are two different metrics. So you cannot have two different metrics and keep using one and whichever that you like. You will not get a proper evaluation out of it. So uniformize that also. When you are reviewing something, set the benchmark into one, standardize that, and then you compare that benchmark with the actual performance of many different things. So that's the standardization aspect. So I hope you understood this. Now let's go to simplification of work. Eliminate every unnecessary feature, function, part or component in a product or service. In other words, in simple words, eliminate waste. What happens when designers come up with a product, they get a bit too creative and they end up adding a lot of fancy items into the mix. Those fancy items are not essential for the functioning of that product. Even without those fancy products, the product will still function and do its job. I'll give you some examples. I will show you a couple of pictures. This is the first picture. This is the CPU of an assembled PC, gaming PC. Now you see, you can immediately spot a lot of unnecessary things for a PC to function normally. I agree that it's a gaming PC, so gaming PC should look little flashy and everything. But if you purely talk from performance aspect, if you take a minimalist aspect, you see you don't need this fancy fans and lights and all those things, particularly the lights, isn't it? Now you also see the space that is left, open space that is left inside this PC CPU. You can also see how heavy it gets because of all these unnecessary fancy items. Now I will show you a contrast picture to this, which is the Mac Mini. You see, this is Apple's Mac Mini. How simple it is. It just fits within the palm of your hand, isn't it? So small, so light, but it does the same job of what this gaming PC could do, or even maybe little faster than that, little much more than that. The very video that you are watching right now is being recorded and edited in a Mac Mini only, which this is right here. I prefer Mac Mini over this gaming PC any day because it is small, it doesn't occupy a lot of space in my desk, and if I really want to travel, and I can easily pack this on my backpack and go to a place wherever that I want, and there I just have to connect it with a TV using a HDMI cable, and anyway wherever I go, people these days have keyboard and mouse, so I can connect it and directly start working there as well. So the point I'm trying to say is, imagine carrying this on an airplane or carrying this wherever that you want to go. You cannot carry this that easily, isn't it? So that's the aspect of simplification. Now the assignment that I want to give you in today's class is, observe the products that you see in your life and services that you see in your life, and try to figure out how many non-essential things are inside that particular product. How many unnecessary things are loaded into a design of a product. And if you really get to see something, let me know in the comments also, and I would love to read that. So that's it for today's lecture. In tomorrow's lecture, we will talk about the time, method, and fatigue study. That 4 types of studies are there, right? So we will talk about that in tomorrow's lecture. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.